had Aunt Jemima Syrup, Uncle Ben's rice, or an Eskimo pie. Does that make me racist or super woke? But I do love Jesus, so I guess that makes me racist. Let's find out more as we discuss the newest batch of racist things canceled this week. I'm Katie Petrick, and this is Healthy Republic. At this point, I feel like a loser. I mean, more so than usual. Every day, we're being told that such and such is canceled, and yet, here I am, just waiting for my turn. Woe is me. The latest victim in the cancel culture is Jesus. Anyone who knows the Bible knows that they already tried to cancel him, but he was resurrected. The new Pontius Pilate is Shaun King, the way leftist activist guy whose birth certificate says he's white, but he says he's not. Remember, you can be whatever color you want, but you're a racist one, especially if you have that white privilege. King took to Twitter to say, "Yes, I think the statues of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down. They are a form of white supremacy. Always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down." Okay? King followed up by saying that white Jesus is a lie and that white people would never have accepted a religion from a brown man. Oh, and we should break all the stained glass windows of those churches, so be on the lookout. You and I know Jesus is accepting of everyone who believes in him, and I'm pretty sure Jesus was accepting of syrup and pancakes, so that too must be canceled.
Aunt Jemima? What she do? Why y'all getting rid of her?
Because racism.
Aunt Jemima pancakes without her syrup is like the spring without the fall. There's only one thing worse in this universe. That's no Aunt Jemimas at all.
Aunt Jemimas without Aunt Jemima syrup?
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous, little lady. But alas, Aunt Jemima, in 2020, is being fired for the color of her skin. I repeat, Aunt Jemima, fired, skin color. I think I found the racists in the room. The family of one woman who portrayed Aunt Jemima doesn't like the cancellation either. Lillian Richard became Aunt Jemima in 1925 in Hawkins, Texas. Her second cousin, Vera Harris, says Lillian was considered a hero in Hawkins. The state even designated the town the pancake capital of Texas. Harris said Lillian made an honest living out of it for a number of years. She toured around Texas. There wasn't a lot of jobs, especially for black women back in that time. And for that, she must be canceled because we so dumb. Now, I'm a sucker for a good story. So after hearing the history of the various Aunt Jemimas, I went out and got myself some syrup to try. I am officially this days old when having my first taste of that sweet Aunt Jemima syrup. Until this point, it's been nothing but the store brand for me because of my privilege. And just look at me, acting like I've never been there before, because I hadn't. I can't believe it took me this long to enjoy the sweetness. Oh, the shame.
Oh, go girlfriend, I'm your mother.
Still not as shameful as the cancellation of the syrup, along with Uncle Ben's rice, cream of wheat, Eskimo pies, Mrs. Butterworth's, all because of supposed racism. But there's more to be canceled, and it's also in the line of breakfast food. In England, an ex-member of parliament named Fiona Onasana actually attacked Kellogg's for their racism because you know those three little white boys, as she calls them, on Rice Krispies? Yeah, well, that monkey on Cocoa Pops is brown. So, of course, she emailed Kellogg's her concern. First off, Fiona, elves' lives matter too, okay? And secondly, is this what you were working on for 3 months while being jailed last year after being convicted of perverting the course of justice? Fiona is now trying to pervert the meaning of cereal boxes. Progressivism at its finest. Or maybe not its finest, after now even the founder of the Progressive Party back in the United States is not progressive enough. History lesson. Theodore Roosevelt ran on the third-party ticket of the Progressive Party in the 1912 presidential election after losing the nomination. He formed his own party to get on the ballot, but ended up splitting votes, and that's how we got the real racist Woodrow Wilson as president. The Democrat Wilson was for segregation and supported the Ku Klux Klan. But Theodore Roosevelt is the one not woke enough, and he must be removed. The American Museum of Natural History in New York City announced the statue's removal after standing for 80 years. Since the bronze statue featuring Roosevelt on horseback and flanked on both sides by an African man and a Native American man, it must be gone.
The statue has representations that clearly do not represent today's values. The statue clearly, presents a white man as superior to people of color. And that's just not acceptable in this day and age.
It legit is because Roosevelt sits higher up than the other men. He's on a freaking horse because he was known to ride horses. His horse was named Little Texas, and they were part of the Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War. History and stuff. But no, we'd rather call it racism.
Bully! Got you, boy.
Gotcha, boy. Who cares that Roosevelt is synonymous with New York City, and Roosevelt's father was one of the museum's founders? Speak softly and carry a big stick, then be gone. On the note of fathers, it was Father's Day this past weekend, and it would be remiss of me to not address the perpetual tragedies happening in our big cities run by Democrat mayors, such as Mayor Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. Clearly, the Chicagoans are not listening to her face mask. Hashtag stay home is not working. More than 100 people were shot during Father's Day weekend, with 14 people dead. And this leads into the real main issue that the organization of Black Lives Matter should be taking up: fatherless homes. But don't take my word for it.
Makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
That was 2017. How about Tyrese in 2012?
There's so many black fathers that are locked up and in prison. That's why we're amongst the lost generation. I think ultimately, if you don't have a father to look up to, then you're gonna probably gravitate towards the most prominent, influential black male in your neighborhood. And they end up being influenced by the Crips, the Bloods, and the thugs that are in their neighborhood because they're looking for someone to look up to.
It's 2020, an election year, meaning Black Lives Matter is calling racism per usual. But fatherless homes is the issue BLM should be taking up instead of the so-called systemic racism, which has led to the cancellation of syrup. But Black Lives Matter truly does just want to see it all burned down. And they fully admitted it 5 years ago.
We actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
Yes, because it's not about racism. It's all about power.
So I don't want your money as much as we want your power. The people, not me.
But you. Over the weekend, the Marxist cravens claimed the first death in Seattle's Chaz Chop, the autonomous zone where protesters actually cursed and yelled at the police for trying to get in to help the victim. The victim was a black teenager named Lorenzo Anderson.
The Seattle Fire Department offered a timeline of events, saying after the first 911 call at 2:19 a.m., they and the Seattle Police Department attempted to enter the area at 2:26 a.m., but were met by protesters, who Seattle Police in their release said were violent. Seattle Police also said they were told CHOP medics transported the first victim to the hospital, where he had died.
Question: does his life matter? Does Lorenzo's life matter? All of this canceling has nothing to do with racial equality. It has nothing to do with healing. It has everything to do with power. Black people are being used as pawns for this, and I can't believe how many people are falling, or rather kneeling, for it. Vera Harris, again, the second cousin of Lily and Richard, who is an Aunt Jemima, said it well. I wish we would take a breath and not just get rid of everything, because good or bad, it is our history. Removing that wipes away a part of me, a part of each of us. Our history is our history. It doesn't have to be our future, but erasing it simply means we are bound to repeat it. We know that if we learned our history. Until next time, stay healthy, America.